Okay, so now to go to advanced print. So if, just on a basic level, if I want to create a report from this in cohorts list, I can click on the plus button and start a new report. So the first step is to give the report a name. So depending on what you want to see, and one of my suggestions would be, especially if multiple people are making reports at your location, is I always like to name my report with my initials first. And part of the reason for that is that if somebody goes to use this report, it's, you know, anyone can use it, but if they see that it's got my initials on it, then they won't make changes to it with, you know, they can always duplicate the report and make their own version if they want something else. But it's just kind of, the other thing it does, if you put all your reports with your initials on them, when you go to the list of reports, it'll put all your reports that you like to use together. So we'll call this new cattle. And then to select the fields, so here are all the available fields. So you can see the complete list. Depends, each specific list window will have different items that are available. So that's where, if I want to build a report that shows my in cohorts, then I build it in the in cohort window. So here's all of the available fields. There's a few ways to select them. I can just click on it and drag it over to that column. I can subtract them from here and put them back. Or I can just double click on one. So if I want to select for this report, I'm just going to pick a few fields to make a simple report. So we'll add the lot name, location, in date, and in count. So now, right away from that, I've created a report. So this will give me some information. And now I can save that, and I'm ready to print. Usually when I'm making a new report, I like to, you know, as I make changes to it, then I'll try printing it out on the advanced, or on the print preview, and just see how it looks, and then you can make modifications to it as you go. So I'm just going to narrow this down a little bit. So now we've changed it from 3,000 to 1,600, but we're still pretty high. So I'm just going to select a few of the rows in this window. So now I've selected 6. One of the questions that we get a lot of times is, why does it take so many steps to print a report? And one of the reasons for that is when you go to your report, so I'm going to select the new report that we made, and then I want to print the report. If you're printing something from Lot Center and you have 200,000 items selected or displayed, and you hit print report, then you can print all of those items if you don't catch it. So that's one of the reasons we have some of these steps. So I'm going to select just the 6 items that I want to print the report, and then using print preview for now. And then this will just show me the report the way I've built it. So I can see just by printing that out, I get an idea what it looks like if I want to resize my columns or any of that. In this situation, it's displayed pretty well, so I don't really need any changes. But sometimes when you print it out, this column might not be big enough, so you can't see all of what's in that item, and so then you can make your columns bigger. So if I had decided I'm going to change the column size, down here at the bottom, it'll show you how many columns you're displaying and what the size of that is. So I only have 4 columns. I'm only using 2.5 inches. So I've got lots of room. If I want to, I can pick one of my fields and go to field options. And here it will show you the column width, and I can make this bigger or smaller. If I click the up arrow, it'll make it a little bit bigger. If I push shift and up arrow, then it makes it a lot bigger. So that's kind of a shortcut. Or you can just enter a value if you want, make it 1.5, and then just go like that. So I've made my full report 3 inches now. So for now, we'll just save that report. Another thing that I've done, which really helps, if Chris has helped you build reports in the past, I found this really helpful where as I'm building my new report, if I've got that open and I have a report that I've already built and it's working well, and I think, oh, I want this report to do the same kind of setup, but I don't remember what that was. You can open multiple report windows. So I can see, okay, here's what my column widths are. In that report, it looked pretty good, so I can just copy those. And when we get into some of the inline reports or whatever too, sometimes it's helpful just to open another report and look at how it's set up. And it'll help you remember that. Okay, so when you've got your report that you've built, now we can add, if we decided when we did our print preview we want to add a few more columns, we can add that here. Just add another column like that, double click on it, it'll go there. Or if I want to subtract a column, just highlight that column and subtract it. And you can add a title to your report. So if you go to page setup, I can add this here and type whatever title I want to put in there. So if I just want to call this new, then that title will show up on that report every time I print it. I can add other information in these rows, and so this will print the largest at the top of your report. The next row will print a little bit smaller, and then this bottom row will print the smallest of it. And you can actually select, one of the things that you can do in your report is when you set up just let me go back one step here. So when I'm doing my advanced find, one of the criteria that I can do is I can use a variable. So if I select my in date, where I go to use a variable, you'll have to save this variable, which is another step in itself, but I can select use a variable, and if it's a date this is a date thing, then it will, here's some of the saved variables that I've already got. So if I go, sorry.
So you're saying if you use that report monthly and you want it for the previous month,
yeah,
you can set that as the variable.
Exactly.
And you don't have to always set.
That's right.
That.
So what I've done here is exactly, I've made a variable for the first of the previous month. Oops. And then I can add to it, I've got a variable that's the end of the previous month. So I can search like that, and now I've got one location for first of the previous month, end of the previous month. So now I'm going to search by that. But when I do my advanced print, where we're making the titles, I can set this to be, I didn't save it last time, so it left, but it gets a little tricky with multiple displays and typing. So now when I go to on here, if I'm gonna use that search every time, then I can actually add the same variables to my title page. So I'm gonna use a save date variable. So I'm on the wrong one. Use a save date variable. So I can use my first of the previous month, and then it'll ask you how you want that date displayed. And then just put a space in there. So when it prints, it'll have the space. And then I can add the variable for the end of the previous month. And then again, it asks, oops.
Are those variables saved? Are they defined already?
You have to,
In there? Beginning of the month, end of the month?
there's some in there, and then you can actually go and create your own. So I'll show you how to do that in a sec too. So now I can save that, and now see on my search that I've narrowed it down to only last month. Now I've got 18 cohorts displayed, so I'm going to print for all of them. And so now we can see, other than I selected different formats for the date, but it adds that to it. And then that's how my new report looks with all of my cohorts and my new title. When you're going through the print setup, when it comes up with that title page, you can switch that too. So if you want to override, I've got it saved, but for one reason I want to change it to just Strovi beef or something like that. I can type over that and it'll override it for this one. But the saved title will remain in the report definition. Okay, so if you want to create your own variable, then we can go to, if I remember how to do it properly, just have to remember where it is. So under utilities, in Fusion Office, utilities, and then you can go to saved variables. And then the same as in your advanced print, if you want to create a new one, you can hit the plus. Decide what type of variable you would like to create. So we'll do a date. And then you can give it a name here, and then select. So there's already one here for today, but I could create a new variable that would be for today. I can select through, there's a list. If you select on this box here, then it'll give you a bunch of different types of variables. So then you could pick that and click that one. And then there is no save button on that one, so once you have set up your new variable, it'll be there. I think the new one I created that says nothing see, it's still there. So I can just subtract that one because I don't need it. But that's where you create. So there are some default ones in there, right? But
That's under Office, you said?
yeah. So Office and then utilities.